I love the show. I don't really have anything else to say. I just wanted to stress that. This is going to be a 10 out of 10, isn't it? It's going to be really, really hard for them to screw this show up at this point. But anyway, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Jujutsu Kaisen discussion videos. Today we're here to talk all about episode 18, Sage. But before we get into that, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AnyTube know that you're here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode. Okay, so this week, it's sort of split into two stories, right? Like, the first part of the episode is very much Fushiguro versus Noritoshi. And that's sort of like the driving force, and you're sort of set up to just assume that this is going to be the majority of the episode, since last week we had like fight, 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 the week before that was fight, 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 and it was always just like basically attempting to flesh out, and even the week before that was fight, fight, fight. Like, the last few episodes have been basically attempting to really flesh out the Kyoto kids and attempt to sort of like get you to understand where they're coming from, what their backstory is, all that fun stuff. And each episode was titled like Group Battle 1, Group Battle 2, Group Battle 0, like 3, right? Like, it's just going in order. And then this week's episode is called, as I said earlier, Sage. And I was like, that's interesting. But I didn't super know, like, why the name change. So I just thought maybe they were done with the whole group battle thing, which is fine by me, because that was a mouthful. But then we realize why. Because Noritoshi basically, like, again, like, it starts to sort of delve into who he is, what his deal is, why he is the way he is, and we'll get into that in just a sec. But then we also see the emergence of Mahito! Mahito's gang. Mahito. Mahito is very much up there. Mahito's gonna sit, like, in, like, if all the anime characters lived in, like, a cafeteria in my brain, then Mahito would be sitting with the characters that I love to hate, right? And Mahito would be over there. Brilliant characters who I think are really well written and expertly crafted to be hateable. Even if you understand, like, why they do the things they do, even if you get them as a character, you still just are like, ooh, screw that character. And Mahito's there. I will never forgive what happened to Junpei. So no. When I saw Mahito, I was like, Mahito, right? Like, it was another situation where I wish I was reacting to the episode. I do want to start doing that more often, but again, like, it was one of those times where I was like, ooh, Mahito, ooh, Mahito. But that's not what I want to talk about to begin with. It's just I want to stress that there's two stories here. And the first part is very much Noritoshi versus Fushiguro. It's just that it later gets intercepted and taken away by Mahito's group, and specifically Hanami. But again, we'll get into that as we go. I want to start by talking about Noritoshi instead. This man, Noritoshi, he's another situation where, like, you start to see that the clans of Kaisen are kind of, how you say, jerkwads. There's always some sort of issue with a clan, right? Like, there's always, like, some sort of, like, family baggage that comes with them, as you would from, like, a long line of Jujutsu sorcerers, right? You're gonna have people with baggage, you know? You're gonna have characters who are sort of hurt by their family's legacy, and Noritoshi is, you know, just another example of that. We saw it very much with Mai and Maki, now we see it with Noritoshi, where his whole situation is that he's, like, the illegitimate son of the Kamo family, right? He's like the Kamo family head, right? He's like this dude's illegitimate son with this woman, and he loves his mom, right? Like, but everyone else sees the mom as like some concubine, right? Like, not even worth looking twice at, and it's like, ew, gross. But like, just the way that they treat this man's mom, I'm like, ew, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, don't treat people like that. That's gross. And regardless, that's how they treat her, right? And you see him as a kid crying, asking why people treat his mom poorly, and they tell him, like, oh, she's just some, I'm not even going to say the word because I feel like YouTube will get mad at me, but she's some blank concubine, and, you know, like, nobody cares. And then once he's an adult, he asks, like, okay, but then if that's the case, then why choose me? Right? Like, why am I the Kamo heir? Like, why am I the heir apparent, right? And then they explain, because none of the family heads' wives' children actually inherited the proper abilities that you did. So guess who's it? You. So you have to become the new family heir. So now you have a character with something to prove. which is always dangerous, especially in an antagonist. An antagonist with something to prove, a chip on their shoulder, always scary. And honestly, I want to see more from Noritoshi. They made me want to start by, like, hating these characters, right? Like, I wanted to be like, man, screw these characters. Screw the Kyoto characters. And I still am not super keen on Mai and the old man, but we'll get into the old man. Something happens with the old man that I'm like, what? But yeah, like, the principal and Mai, even though Mai is a character, like, Mai is more a character that I'm like, holy crap, like, I like really love the writing in Mai, right? And it's the same thing with Noritoshi, where I'm like, the writing in these characters are really solid, but you have to give me a little bit more. I have to see them be fun and nice to the characters we like, you know? Like, I have to enjoy seeing them on screen. And I do enjoy seeing Mai and Noritoshi on screen so far. It's just, you know, like, if you want me to be like, I love them, it's like, you have to have them be nice to the characters we like, you know? Because if they're mean, then you're gonna be like, wow, what a jerk, right? So, like, that's where I am right now with a lot of the Kyoto characters, is that a lot of them are trying to kill my boy, and I can't say I'm a big fan of that, but I love their writing so far, and I do think, given time, I'm probably gonna grow to love them. And Noritoshi, I think, is another one where I'm like, I'm probably going to end up liking this character a lot. Mai is another one where I'll probably end up liking Mai a lot as the story goes on. But Noritoshi, like, really takes it to Fushiguro. Like, Fushiguro and Noritoshi have a really solid brawl. And I'm kind of bummed we didn't actually get to see it finish, you know? Like, it would have been cool to actually see the fight play out, because we see, like, Fushiguro start to, like, bring in, like, Nue, and he starts to bring in, like, that elephant thing and all this stuff. Like, Fushiguro really starts to sort of, like, it starts with him on the back foot, and he breaks the tonfas, which breaks my heart. But yeah, Fushiguro, both the tonfas break when he's fighting Noritoshi, but then he starts to sort of make this big comeback, and then they're gonna have another brawl. But as you can probably see by the screenshot, that doesn't last, right? Hanami basically is, like, bringing some giant tree, you know, the Tree of Might, into the equation, which sort of wrecks things. And poor, what's his name? Inumaki? Toge? I don't remember. Yeah, Toge. The kid who can, like, kind of, like, do the whole Purple Man thing, where he can just say things and you do it. And you see him, and I remember earlier, I'm like, Toge, what's going on? Like, when he sees, like, something's weird, like, he notices something's up, and then you see Hanami, I'm like, run! Like, as soon as I saw that, I was just, run! And even he tells them, like, when they see him, like, running on top of the school, he, like, just looks at them and just, run away! And they just book it, right? And I don't blame them, because Hanami... Yeah, let's get into that. Hey there, friendly reminder that you're not actually an isekai protagonist and only have one chance to hit that sub button. Why don't you make it right now? Thank you. Hanami is scary. The design is brilliant. Like, I love it. I love, like, the fact that it's, like, this sort of earthy tone. Hanami's body is, like, huge and bulky, but you have, like, the tree bark coming out of the eyes, so it's, like, they're, like, if the eyes are the window to the soul, if you see tree trunks coming out of the eyes, I can only assume that it means that they are blinded by their passion for the earth, you know, like, blinded by what they must do. And I assume that Hanami must be, like, the cursed energy from maybe, like, the earth itself, or just, like, the cursed emotions of environmentalists. As somebody who votes for the Green Party every time I gotta vote, I kind of feel Hanami a little bit, but I think the design is brilliant. Like the bulky, like, mostly white, black, and brown, like, colors. It's super interesting. I think when it comes to the design, I'm seeing, like, a lot of, like the white as sort of an innocence, right? Like, and when I say innocence, I don't mean, like, innocent in their actions. I feel like Hanami's probably gonna screw somebody up. Like, Hanami's gonna put some damage into people. But I mean, like, their goal is to protect the Earth, right? And they even say, like, I'm sure that there are humans who do care about the Earth, but when so many don't, what's even the point, right? And it's like, damn, that's a little too pessimistic for my taste. I'm more of an optimist, but I get it. I do get it. But seeing Hanami basically, like, sort of gave me, and this is your tell that we're probably going to be talking about the Godzilla show when that airs next season. I'm a huge, gigantic Godzilla fan. I really like a lot of the Godzilla kaiju, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because Hanami really gives me, like, Mothra vibes, you know, like Mothra, defender of the earth, right? Like that's like Mothra don't like when humans screw with the earth, you know what I mean? Like Mothra doesn't like when humans try to throw off the balance of things. And so that's the kind of vibes I'm getting. Like Mothra mixed with Groot with just a pinch of evil thrown in there. And that's the concoction that makes Hanami. And I just think that the character themselves is like really cool, right? I really like Hanami. I like what they're going to represent. I do think it's interesting, the whole attack, right? Because I mentioned earlier that this is clearly like a Mahito designed plan, right? Like Mahito's like, okay, we're going to set up this plan, we're going to put up this barrier, and the only person who can't get through, you guessed it, Gojo. Gojo can actually enter the portal, whereas like the others can, right? I believe her name is Utahime, and then the Kyoto principal. They can like walk right through. I forget his name. I'm sorry, but Kiryu-sensei, Principal Kiryu, he also goes to go find somebody. I don't remember who he's going to look for, but basically all the teachers band together, both like the Tokyo squad, the Kyoto squad, our squad, and the other ones. Like they like both groups sort of come together, both teachers, to save the kids, right? Even if the old man might not necessarily want to save all the kids, obviously, probably would rather leave Itadori in there to die, the old fart. But like he like they do team up, right? Like they do care to some, like even the old man cares to some degree, right? Utahime and Gojo clearly care, but it's kind of clear that like the old man does kind of care about the students and doesn't want them to get hurt necessarily. At least that's the vibe he's giving me. And Hanami's attack really sort of initiates that. And I'm not gonna show it just because I like this shot of Hanami too much to move it. But the old man plays guitar. I was wondering what was up with the guitar and the OP. I thought it was just like an homage to the band, like playing the song, but apparently it's the old man. The dude plays guitar. I'm not gonna lie, that really threw me for a loop, and I'm like, okay, if you can somehow manage to justify him trying to kill Best Boy, I might actually like that character, because old man playing guitar, like, as a weapon, that's kind of dope. I'm not gonna lie. Last thing I'm gonna talk about before we wrap up the video, though, is it's still sort of talking about Hanami, and that's more so talking about the Jujutsu Scroll, which I don't normally bring up, but what the hell is this? Like, this was the weirdest one. Now, I don't really bring up Jujutsu Scrolls super often, right? Like, because it's like, if I do, it's just because like usually they connect somehow to the episode themselves, and I feel like bringing it up. Here it very clearly doesn't. It's like a make-believe story. I mean, the whole thing's a make-believe story, right? Isn't that what all fiction is? But this is like a story within a story, right? Where it's, what if Mahito's group were like in high school, and Jogo is like sort of dating Hanami, or at least like romantically interested in Hanami, and I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing? Mahito's like says that they should strangle Jogo, and that his boyfriend Senpai is like one of those, and I'm like, are you talking about a Yakuza? What are you talking about? Like I don't understand like what one of those is. I'm like, what do you mean? Like a bad guy? What are we talking about? All right, like what's this whole scroll this one was weird. I didn't know how to feel about this one. This one kind of threw me off. I was like, what is this? This is weird. This is I don't know about that. That said, the PV for next week looks immaculate, stupendous, beautiful, fantastic, furious, furious, fabulous, fantastic, flurries of funk felt feet in the fanatics. I definitely got that wrong. Anyway, good for you if you know what that's from. But it's definitely one of those, I feel like the PV definitely got me hyped, and I don't really feel like it spoiled stuff, right? Because there's been some PVs for stuff like Titan where people are like, don't watch the PV. And I don't think anything for Kaisen has ever really spoiled me, at least not that I remember. So like watching the PV just kind of has me curious, because it seems like at some point Hanami's going to go after Todo and Itadori, and they're going to fight Hanami. But we already know that they're going to fight Hanami because that fight is actually in the OP. So like we always knew that Hanami was going to show up, I just didn't know when, right? So to see that next week is going to be the fight from the OP also kind of concerns me a little bit. Not in a bad way, just like in a, oh, that's sad kind of way, because I'm like, okay, wait, if that's what happens, most of the scenes from the OP are already like playing out, right? Like, we see the guitar now. We know that next week is going to be the fight with Hanami and Itadori and Todo. So if that's happening, like, how much of the arc is left? Like, we're on episode 18. There's 19 next week. Is there 24 or 23 episodes? Is Kaisen going to end soon? I'm very sad about that. I don't want that to be the case. This show is so weird and so fun and amazing and spectacular, and I really haven't disliked anything so far. It's one of those shows where I'm like, there's nothing about the show that has ever stood out to me as like, oh, I don't like this thing, right? There's no hiccups yet. And that kind of freaks me out because it's been a little bit since I saw a show that I would consider like a straight 10 out of 10, right? So I'm like, that's kind of crazy. So if something is going to happen, it would happen towards like the end of the show, right? Like something, there might be some hiccup, but considering we're like closing in on like the end of the first season and we're still at a 10 out of 10, it might be a 10 out of 10 show. I'm not lying. Like, we'll have to keep an eye on it. But yeah. With that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. And of course, before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names. And hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen here. Or you could check out that Patreon link in the description. For as little as $1 a month, you can help out your favorite zombie boy. At least maybe one of your favorites. I don't know. But yeah, even for just $1, or you can hit the join button for like a wee bit more to get the badge and the emotes and stuff. Either way, it is super appreciated. And once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. And I want to say this at the end here. The difference between the T Squadron and the Zombros is this, right? Zombros, the second you hit follow either on Twitch or you sub here over on YouTube, you are part of the Zombros. But if you want to become part of the elite, the T Squadron, you gotta subscribe on Twitch, or you gotta hit the join button here on YouTube, or you gotta become a patron. That's the difference, right? The T Squadron are our elite, and then the Zombros are our buddies. Like, if you hit that sub button, you're a Zombro. Welcome to the squad. But yeah, that's the difference. Just gonna say that now, so I can say that I said it in a video, because I don't think I ever did. So yeah, I said it in a video now. But yeah, that's it for me. I got nothing else to say, so anyway, bye!